I'm Paul Priestman, I'm a designer, also one of the founding directors of Priestmangoode. We're a design company based in London and here in China as well. And we specialise in product design, transportation design and environment design. And we're one of the leading companies in the aviation sector. I've always believed that design is about making something better. It's not just about styling, making something look pretty. And I think particularly the work we do in public transport is something that I'm particularly proud of in countries all over the world. The one thing we can do is encourage people to get out of their cars and use public transport, get out aeroplanes and use public transport. Then it's a great thing because I do strongly believe that's the way forward. Virgin Rail is a franchise of a particular route in the UK, and 12 years ago Richard Branson asked myself and my company to design their new trains, and it was one of the biggest orders. It's a high-speed tilting train so it can go around the corners faster. It was almost one of the first projects where it was a branded train experience, and he wanted to try and get people to stop using their cars on short routes. And so from the designer's point of view, you immediately have to think about what are the advantages of travelling by train over travelling by car a long distance, for instance. You know.
Enthusiasm, motivation, opportunalise.
You know, you can use your laptop the whole time, unlike an aeroplane where you have to put it away on takeoff and landing. The things that we try to do is to make the experience better by travelling with rail, not just for the passenger but also for the people that work on board the trains. I think design is very important in making the experience of working in an environment better. One idea we had, which is now on the trains, is that the doors to we call them the ticket inspector on board the train, was a solid door. So what happened, the train left, the ticket inspector went up and down the train, checked the tickets and disappeared into his little cupboard hole. So what we did, we supplied that space, that little cupboard, with computers, put a glass door on it, and empowered that person so that they could help the customers throughout the journey. And it completely changed the role of that. He didn't become someone who's telling people off, he's coming to someone helping them on their journey. And that's, I think, a great example of what design can do to the whole process. These trains, most of them will run for maybe 30, 40, 50 years. So what we do, we design them in a modular way to allow them to be updated or changed if, say, for instance, the brand changes. Air access is an idea that I had for trying to solve the problem of wheelchair access on aeroplanes. It's an issue that most of us don't understand happens, because it happens before you board the aircraft and it happens after. So people in wheelchairs are often just manhandled into their seats. So what we did, we really looked at this in a different way, and we came up with this concept of actually having part of the seat which will detach to become a wheelchair. But if it's not, you can use it as a normal seat. And it's just a small element of it, the lightweight part detaches, it can be wheeled down the jetway into the terminal where someone can get into it in leisure and without the stress, and then can board with the rest of the passengers, and then it actually clicks into the seat itself. We are employed by people like Airbus to future think their new aircraft of the future, and we did that for the A380, which is the super jumbo, the double deck, biggest aircraft in the world. And we were asked by Airbus to design the interior of this aircraft, and we did that many years ago now. But that has now gone into production, and aspects of our design are there, and we've done 4 different aircraft, 4 different A380s for different aircraft, for Lufthansa, for Malaysia is the latest one that was just launched. So we're designing it in a modular system again to allow it to remain an Airbus product, but it's definitely got a South African feel to it, or a British Airways feel, or a Lufthansa feel. But what's interesting about the designing of this, it's a very advanced kind of design, because we're designing, in effect, the nationality of a country. It's the symbol of that nation. And it's a long distance away from an individual designer saying, I've designed it like this because I like that shape. It's very sophisticated, thinking about the customer, thinking about the experience, and we call it home to destination. The big news for us, last year we opened an office in China, which is growing rapidly at the moment. A lot of our work is coming from that direction, particularly in the product design, because we do a lot of product design, fridges, air conditioning units, electrical items. And I think that's I'm very excited about China at the moment. So I think it's a really interesting time for design. And I think design has, in its right use, it's definitely come of age, and its most successful companies realise that design is absolutely intrinsic in profitability.